Hi, Julien.
Hi, Carmen.
Welcome to ABO.
Thank you for having me today.
Today is a T8 day, typhoon day. So you came here telling me your kids aren't at school today.
Yes.
How did you manage to come here and because they're at home, right?
Actually, I'm lucky enough to have someone helping us.
Okay.
So that's why I could manage to be here today.
Okay. And we were just talking about your avatar. You have an AI avatar, so you can speak 60 languages with your avatar.
Yes.
This is crazy.
Unfortunately, in spite of my efforts, my Chinese is still a bit broken. So I wish I could speak Chinese as my kids do, but it's not the case yet. So recently, technology company, friends, helped me to develop my AI avatar, which exactly look like me. But this avatar is amazing because it can speak more than 60 languages.
Be everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. So that's quite amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
scary at the same time.
Yeah, pretty scary. So to introduce you, Julien, you're a partner at Ykone.
Yes.
Ykone?
Ykone.
In French, Ykone.
Yeah, Ykone
Yeah.
stands for icon. Like Gabrielle Chanel is an icon of fashion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that example. So this is an influencer marketing group with 300 staff, 16 offices across the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. And we can say the turnover is around 100 million euros
Correct.
per year. So that's pretty big. And you work with luxury, lifestyle, fashion brands. For example, Burberry, Chloe, or more brands, I guess.
Prada.
Gucci. Yeah. And on top of being an influencer marketing group, Ykone sells a license of a software solution called Campaign that has a huge database, and we're going to talk about that later. Ykone is also a talent management, has also a talent management branch called Bold.
Yes.
And it also offers production services. I think it's what's the name? Oddly Enough?
Oddly enough.
Oddly Enough. Okay. That's quite a name. Okay. So actually, you're not the founder of Ykone, but you are a partner and you developed all the Asian department, the Asian presence of Ykone. And we can say, in a way, you're an entrepreneur, or at least you have this mindset, and you're a business owner, a business person, because it's something to develop a business in a new region of the world. And you used to live in Shanghai. You got married to a Chinese woman.
Yes.
And you're now based in Hong Kong. And
Yes.
there are offices in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and you operate in Korea, Thailand, and Japan?
Singapore also. Yes.
Singapore, yeah. Before digging more into this, a question that I guess many listeners may have is, well, an influencer, we can also say KOL, means key opinion leader. I'm just saying because we're going to use that word a lot, I guess. Isn't an influencer, do they make enough money to earn their living? Because everybody can say, I'm an influencer on Instagram, but what's the reality and how much do they earn?
Okay. So that's interesting you ask this because I used to say that, first of all, we are all influencers at some point. So will you consider yourself as an influencer, Carmen?
Not really, because I know a bit more about this, market.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say so.
In my opinion, you are.
Okay.
It means you are influencing a circle of friends, a close family, and you are influencing those people more than probably you think. So we all have our circle of influences. Obviously, there is different size, and the one that usually manage to make money in the industry, first of all, I will say they have a talent for writing, for mix
Okay.
and match in fashion, for styling people, for taking photography, for expressing an opinion. So it's interesting that in the Asian world, they translate influencer to key opinion leaders, because sometimes I also question the fact that I wish they will all have an opinion to share.
Yeah.
So basically, because of what I just mentioned, everyone can claim to be an influencer, right? So we
Okay.
can claim we are an influencer. We are all of us influencers. But it's also a profession. It's also an expertise. So the ones that are actually most of the time making money, they have a talent. Sometimes it's a talent that people might say, "Oh, I could do the same." You know, we heard this a lot. I feel a bit like envious. You know, I could have done this. You know, it doesn't look like that complex,
Yeah.
but the person has the idea to start this, to take a picture in a simple way that no one was using, repeating this, and then developing, you know, a direction and angle. So at the beginning, there is an idea, there is something, you know. So
Because they're not, you know, they're not, well, then you have the celebrities, which is a different thing. But many KOLs don't have, they're not actors, they're not singers, they're not photographers, even if they take pictures. So I think this is why people think it's not a real job.
It's true that sometimes you face influencers that engage an audience because they are pretty, they are handsome. No, it happens. It's true. But then, based on this, they will usually, it's not enough to last. You know, they will develop, they will build. Maybe based on physical appearance, they will build an audience, and then they will start sharing an opinion on beauty products, on certain aspects.
Okay.
To get back to your questions, some of them are making huge money. Not all of them, you know. A lot of people are also making this as a side business. So it's very frequent that we collaborate and engage influencer, KOL, that actually are working in finance during weekdays. And they are doing a few side posts, as a side business, basically.
But how much can that be? Can they earn with that?
I think for some of them, depending on how much they are, making in their own job, but they can double their revenue, definitely.
Oh, okay.
I give you an example. We work a lot with the most trendy Chinese platforms called Xiaohongshu, called Little Red Book or Red. There are a few Chinese, not only girls, but mainly girls, working in Hong Kong, making a decent life in Hong Kong. But they're also sharing their life in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
That also bring an audience from a huge market that is willing to see more about how a Chinese girl is successful in Hong Kong. And this also stands for a Chinese girl that will be, in Paris, for example. Those overseas Chinese influencers are very interesting for multiple reasons, because they are educating also audiences.
Have you met celebrities?
Yes, I met a few.
Who? Can you say who?
So I can say that recently we've been working a lot with Liu Yifei. So she's named Crystal Liu. She's holding an American passport, but she's known as one of the top Chinese celebrity. Okay. She's the main actress of the Disney movie Mulan.
Oh, nice.
And she's among the top 3 celebrity in China, meaning she has overall an audience that is over 100 million people.
Wow.
And with a huge engagement, because when it comes to influence or celebrity, what we have to monitor, and that's why we utilize a software and data, we have to monitor not only the quality of the content that people are producing, but what is also equally important, or even more sometimes, is the engagement, the data. So who are behind those databases? So if you have 1 million following people, we need to understand, which age range, which interests the audience have. So it's very common that you have influencers talking about multiple topics because they want to grow their database.
Yeah.
And those ones could be tricky because it's hard to tell, are they good for beauty? Are they good for lifestyle? Are they good for travel? So using the data will help us to understand what are exactly the interests of audiences. So this is an important component to approach influencer marketing.
I read that influence marketing was a $15 to $20 billion market in 2022. I'm not entirely sure of these numbers. Please, people, be nice. Or you can check. And I think it had almost tripled since 2019 and is expected to grow up to $51 billion by 2030. So it's pretty big market, growing market. And I think North America still dominates the market, but other regions, for example, Asia, are growing rapidly. What do you think explains such a boom? I have my guess, maybe the rise of social media, I would say. Also, there was the era of the marketing centered around the products before, like in the 90s, for example, the commercials on TV, very traditional marketing. It was not centered around the customers, but more the product. Look at how great this product is. And now it's totally different. So that was a big shift. And also the need for more authenticity. Maybe it's a logical evolution. So what would you say explain that boom?
Yes, I agree. Actually, definitely, it's also a generational things. All those new generation are consuming more and more content through social media.
Yes.
They are discovering brands through social media. My daughter Ines is turning 11 soon. And when it comes to buy a new backpack before, the year starts, I wanted to take her, in the retail and show her a few brands. And she told me, no need to go in the retail. I already know what I want. And she showed me a brand I don't even know. So
what's the brand?
She,
maybe I know.
I need to check the name. Brevité. The name of the brand is Brevité. It happened actually to be Hong Kongese. And they are US based, but they are Hong Kongese founder, interestingly. I asked her, how did you know about this brand? Because it looks they are making like the most convenient backpack. My daughter, between mixed French, Chinese, she's extremely pragmatic. So she found out on YouTube. She saw this through an influencer content or YouTube content that there is this amazing backpack. And she was very clear that she wants this product. So very interestingly, this I think is a good example to show the power of social media, of influencer marketing, because it really influences the consumptions. So that's one thing, definitely. Secondly, like you say, I think there is a need of authenticity. There is a need of also more creative content. And like I say, to be a good influencer, at some point, you need to have a talent that could be expressed in different ways. But one of the talent of influencer, also at some point, social media, is the capacity of the format that we can explore. So when it comes to videos, when it comes to imagery, on social media, basically, they can create a lot of different aspects. So, from a traditional KV, from a campaign, that could be a very powerful traditional KV, but obviously there will be a lot of repetitions. Social media and influencer marketing can bring a lot of extra creativity formatting. And it really, I think, echoes to what, new generation are expecting to see.
And what would you say is the difference between a KOL? Well, you have the celebrities, KOL. I heard also micro-influencers. Yes. This is something else. And also socialites. We know in Hong Kong there's a lot of socialites. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's a very different thing to me than KOL. So can you explain that difference?
Yes, so usually we have, it's about marketing also at the end. So we have this pyramid, and at the top you have the celebrities. So very basically, we will classify and organize the influencer based on their following database. So
Okay.
this is the first criteria. So
Okay.
usually, in certain market, a celebrity will be someone with 1 million audience minimum. But in different markets, maybe like Hong Kong, they have celebrity that have a lower audience online because it's a more traditional market, maybe, or is a smaller market.
Okay.
So definitely the size of the following will be important to look out. Then the second part that is also equally important is the engagement. So let's say Middle East is a market that is known also for the fake following. So it's very common that we are engaging people that have 1 million following. But based on the data, we can see that half of this database is actually engaging, meaning half of the database is either faked or people that are not engaging. In that case, when I deal with a client, I will have to be very clear that the potential reach, when we will post, when this influencer is going to post about the brand, will be 500,000 people, half of it.
Yeah.
But it's still a big number. So you know what I mean? That's important. Then when it comes to again, talent, I think being a content creator is what makes an influencer, more unique and bringing value in terms of creating content, whatever it's copywriting, videos, whatever. When it comes to Hong Kong, the content creators market is very limited, honestly. So I don't consider Hong Kong as a strong influencer market. Most of the people that have a certain audience are, like you mentioned, socialites, means they have access to certain events. So people will follow them because they want to see that, there is the new launch of the Chanel collection in the shop. They want to see what's happening. So this is more what we observe in the market here. Interestingly, when it comes to casting people for a specific market, the data and the software can help you to see the overlap of audiences. So it's not recommended, if you are a fashion brand and you want to bring all of those socialites to your event, at some point it makes sense because they are fashion people. They have access to the product themselves, so they are already
maybe diversify.
Yeah, exactly. So usually, if you believe that in addition of 10 people, you will bring 1 million reach, actually, the data can prove you that the overlap of those audiences, if those people are look-alike, actually shows that you should diversify your casting and open it maybe to, I don't know, an entrepreneur like you. It could be different industry. There are successful entrepreneurs in Asia, that have also very interesting audiences. Yeah. So our job is also to challenge a bit sometimes the traditional way of bringing a socialite, influencer, or even celebrity to an event.
Interesting. And what about, because we know the influencers, KOL, they earn their living, or when it's a side business, they make money through partnerships with brands, affiliate, or things like that. They collaborate. And how do you know who to pick? I mean, of course, it should make sense with the industry. You're not going to take a fashion influencer if you want to sell a tech product or whatever. But also we were talking about the engagement. So how do you know their engagement rate, for example? Just for the listeners, engagement can be on social media. It's like the likes, comments, direct messages, sharing. All of this is engagement, as opposed to views and impressions. So do you ask them for their metrics? And if they give you their metrics, how do you know this is legit? How do you know this is true? Because a lot of influencers can fake it, and you have no... How can you know?
So, first of all, in my view, there are two aspects of projecting the interest of engaging an influencer marketing agency. First of all, we will digest the brief, what the client is expecting, the influencer to deliver. Based on that, we will draft a creative brief for each influencer, telling them the do's and don'ts. This is very interesting because initially I've been thinking that those creative briefs might limit, the expression of the influencer itself. But usually they really expect this, because based on this, they know they will express their own creativity within a specific frame. So this is one thing, the briefing, given to the influencer. Then obviously, identifying the right people is extremely important. So honestly, in that case, this is where we rely on the data and on our campaign software. Basically, you can put in the metrics. I'm looking for a woman with an audience interested in beauty with this range. So basically, based on that, there will be a certain number of profiles that will pop up directly. Then when it comes even more interesting, we try to bring, based on those metrics and data, we try to bring a return on investment as a forecast. So if a client come to me and say, okay, I can spend 10,000, 100,000 euros in a specific campaign. Based on their objectives, we can estimate that, okay, for your campaign, we believe that we can engage, 10 influencers able to produce this number of posts. The software is projecting an estimated media value of the content they are going to produce for the brand. So initially, at the campaign stage, before we kick off the campaign, we are able to say, okay, if you invest 100,000 euros, the expected media value you are going to get is probably 120, 150. So we already have an idea that this campaign will be profitable. Okay. So there is a lot of data help us to choose the right people and also bring some rationale, in terms of investment.
When we spoke the other day, you told me that you like to have an opposite view on things, to take a different path, do things differently, to be contrary. And well, in a way, it makes sense because influence marketing is still recent compared to other aspects of marketing. So it's a different way of doing marketing. But it's not only that. It's throughout your experience, you worked for 7 years at Hermès.
Yes.
Very beautiful brand, beautiful company. And you were there developing the e-commerce, the digital aspect of it. And at that time, developing digital for a luxury brand was completely out of the way. It was very different. So that was kind of a first illustration of how you see things differently. And then you joined an agency called Same But Different.
Yes.
I think I don't know, you could have not imagined a better name for an agency that you joined. And what this character trait bring to either to your personal life and also professional life?
So I've always been thinking that, thinking differently will be what makes a consultant, an agency, potentially useful for any type of business.
What brand use the think different? Is it a?
Oh, there have been many brands using it, but
I picture an ad from way before.
Maybe Apple. Maybe Apple, probably.
Think different, yeah.
Apple or Nike, but it has to be US brand for sure. But
maybe Apple.
So interestingly, I realized when I started in Hermès that we are going to launch e-commerce. Okay, this was 15 years ago. Launching e-commerce in the luxury field back then was completely unexpected. People were still believing that a luxury item has to be sold within the retail environment, and no one will be buying, an expensive items online. Yeah. Obviously, they were wrong, and we already knew they were wrong. So we launched a few e-commerce projects for Hermès online. It happened to be an amazing success. Actually, I believe now that potentially, I don't have the numbers, but probably the e-commerce of Hermès could be the first boutiques in certain markets now. Even, or at least competing with the flagship of the market in terms of volume, assuming that the e-commerce is not offering exactly all that a retail store will be able to offer still. Anyway, when we launched the e-commerce, we've been thinking a lot about how can we make it different. So I learned this thinking from Hermes, from start. And then we bring the idea of having some drawing within the e-commerce environment. So any single product you can buy was a backshot, a single image of a product that was pictured within a drawer. Because drawing is a long part of Hermes' history, so it also connect the brand and the way she will be doing e-commerce. So this was the first time I had these creative directions that make me think differently. Then obviously you mentioned it, we launched a creative agency, and when we realized obviously there were a lot of agency already existing in the market. So we were thinking, my God, we are going to do same agency. Like it's going to be again a new agency. And then we think, okay, but let's call it same, but different. So we will challenge ourselves to always try to think differently. And now I think in my personal life, it's helped me to challenge myself. I think the nature of agency is about evolving. If you don't evolve your offering, you might be the most successful business today. If you don't evolve in 1 year time, you can be completely outdated in marketing industry. So the but different is also a way to challenge, myself, to push myself and the team to do things more differently, right?
And how much do you need to be challenged to be motivated? Because you, I think you opened Ykone in Asia 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah.
4 years ago. And you're still developing it with your teams. But now what's the next big challenge?
Alors, first of all, personally, I like to work with a lot of young mindset.
Okay.
We have a lot of young staff. And obviously, when you do influencer marketing, social media content, creative productions, you need to have a lot of young folks among yourself because they are the one, consuming this content even more than we do. So this is very important to have the right, to have among your team, the audience that actually we are targeting at some point, because they know exactly what the brands needs to do. So that's very interesting, because if tomorrow we produce things that don't interest them, we are wrong at some point, because so that's one thing. Challenging myself with among creative and young people is very important. Then obviously as a company, there are many opportunities. So let's say China economy is struggling now. We are willing to acquire a company in China because personally, I've always been fully believing that when there is a crisis, there is an opportunity. So if China market is suffering at this moment, obviously you can make a better deal if you make an acquisition at some point, because the value of the company will be lower. But it's definitely a time to think differently again, to say, okay, this market has been successful, growing for years. Brands have been throwing a lot of investment and money in those markets. Now things are becoming more rational. I don't believe only, the economic is the main reason. It's also previously, pre-pandemic time, brands were, investing a lot in the market. I think now it's time to be more rational. So the challenge is more about, okay, what do they need in this market? So China definitely will be a key market for, upcoming developments. But then that's the magic of Asia. Like at some point in Europe, we have Korea, South Korea next to us. The Korean entertainment is, wow, just something unique that we cannot ignore, right? So Korean talent are people we definitely have to, to involve in our strategy. Korea entertainment is not influencing Asia anymore only. It's also influencing Europe, US. So the opportunities in Asia are multiple, because they are different culture. Thailand is one of the most Thai people are one of the most creative people I've met in my life. So at different aspect, different size of business, it could be also interesting market to explore. So, to always nourish the way we approach things and we develop ourselves. So there are many, many opportunities in terms of markets opening. Then in terms of servicing, I believe that influencer marketing might be not only the focus. Tomorrow we'll probably need to have influencer marketing. But I think as an agency, what will bring more added value is to be able to think the whole event from scratch. Then we'll bring the storytelling, the creative. We will shoot the content of the event. We will bring the influencer to the event. You know what I mean? We'll bring the talent. But my objectives, and I think one of the things that could be interesting as a potential development is to integrate more services that give you the overall aspect and control of the campaign, from initiating the idea to producing the event and making a real and live, whatever is with AI avatar or real people,
And so you said your daughter is 11. You have 2 kids?
Yeah, I have a son also, Sevan, that is 9.
9. Do they use social media? So they use social media?
No, they don't
No.
use. They don't have yet a smartphone because I personally believe that they still have time for this.
Yeah.
And this is a personal choice, obviously. Could be a different case for different families. I will say, if you don't give your child a smartphone too early, but basically they will have to keep themselves busy differently. So they will also discover things through books, through exhibitions, through a lot of different aspects. Obviously, every day they are probably asking me when they can get smartphone. And I usually ask them, give me a good reason. And I don't get a good reason because social media is not yet a good reason. So I personally believe that the social media part will come to their life at some point. They just don't need it at the too early stage,
I agree.
Because potentially the social media will also, at some point, they will tend to follow certain ideas, certain platforms. I think they are at an age when they need to keep everything open. So so obviously,
it's true that there's a more and more political influence through social media. So, and also, and I agree with you. I think to nurture your creativity, it's good when you're a kid to not be on your smartphone or screens too much. But what if they say, Dad, I want to be an influencer when I'll get older? What would you say?
I don't know yet about that, but actually Ines is also already an artist. So she's drawing, she's painting, she's doing a lot of very creative stuff. I'm sometimes sharing her stuff online by myself. So she doesn't have her own account to do this. And obviously I've been thinking that actually I would love her to be able to share more about what she's doing. I just wanted to make sure that she understands, the pros and cons of being active on those platforms.
Yes.
And I don't want her to be only focusing on this. So that's a challenge. Then if tomorrow she wants to be an artist, she will be an influencer in this industry, right? So it's fine. It's fine to me. I think the most important is that they can express themselves, right? And they can be different, hopefully.
Yeah. And now let's imagine a scenario. But first, I need to ask you quickly, does what Ykone does, can it be applied to service-based businesses?
Yes.
Because when we think about influence, we think about a product, telling people to buy this product. So, okay. Imagine I have a service-based business, like a marketing agency, or I'm a sports center, or a spa, or can be many things. And I don't have 100,000 euros budget. I don't have that. I have a human-sized business, and I want to focus on authenticity and word of mouth more. What can you do for me?
Obviously, the budget will define the typology of people you can engage, by definitions. But first of all, before talking about the smaller business, how they could approach this, you mentioned it, you asked me about how influencers are making money, how they could be independent with their own content. There is also something that tend to forget is that as a brand, we can offer a lot to an influencer. It's not only one side of the business. So I personally defend this and challenge my team in this way, meaning that, okay, an influencer build an audience, he build a database with a huge engagement. So at some point, he deserves to be paid for being a media himself, right?
Yeah.
So no debate about this. But sometimes we arrive with brands that have amazing experience or amazing product to deal, to introduce to the influencer. So give you a few examples. We sometimes do what we call destination travel campaigns. Basically, we are working with tourism board or could be hospitality. You mentioned a spa, by example, that could be also part of the experience of a destinations.
Yes.
So we are promoting Abu Dhabi, to name one of the country we are helping, as a destination. So we probably send around 1,000 influencer KOL a year to Abu Dhabi to promote the destinations. But interestingly, when you make those type of deal, we are basically offering an experience. An influencer will travel, usually on very good traveling conditions. And we offer a trip for a week. We sometimes engage a photographer that will produce also co-produce content with them. So there are specific cases when we don't systematically contract with money an influencer.
Okay.
We will offer an experience. We will offer a stay. And obviously, when you're a spa, when you're hospitality travel, you have a lot to bargain and deal with. So in those type of business, we can make different type of deals that are very interesting. So it's not only about, how much you need for the money. Just to wrap up on these questions, I think if you are a small business, obviously you need to think about, whatever your business is how you can deliver an experience, what can you trade. Sometimes giving away your product, I wouldn't recommend only to do this approach, but could be a way to get a better deal also. So if you go to a bigger influencer that you cannot afford as a brand, if you can offer them value with a product or an experience, could be a way also to get to negotiate and get a better deal.
Absolutely. I have two more questions for you. What do you think about the future of influencer marketing? Do you think this is the future of marketing? I feel like the ROI of influencer marketing is maybe more obvious than other aspects of marketing, because you have a campaign, you hire this influencer, this KOL, and then you can track maybe how many sales have been made through that partnerships. So it's very obvious to see the return on investment. And what do you think would be the next thing? Maybe after that, I was thinking augmented reality, AI. How would this all come together?
Obviously, the size, you mentioned it earlier, the investment in this industry is huge, is still growing. So more and more we observe that most of the brands are expecting not only an engagement, a certain reach of the content, but they also want to measure more and more the impact on their business. We receive more and more briefs that are actually expecting to drive sales. It's not true that all influencers have the capability to drive the sales. So in that matter, it's important also to define the campaign objectives initially clearly. And then I think there are ways to also convert to sales that are not direct sales. So let's say in Europe, influencers are more promotional driven usually. But there are ways to approach a campaign when people will be engaging with the content through an influencer that will make them connecting later to the brand. So they will register within a database and then the brand will activate them later on. So, there are different ways to do this. Obviously, when it comes to the future of marketing, influencer marketing will be part of it and will be one of the key components. If we look at the most advanced market, such as China, the future looks promising there because the influencer are also it's building their own economy of actually selling through live streaming. Live streaming happened to be extremely interesting because it's running potentially with AI. It's running nonstop. So an influencer can utilize his avatar, to keep running sales nonstop. But there is still things are evolving with time. Initially, people see those huge numbers around live streaming sales, but when you pay attention, the value of products that China is selling on live streaming is usually relatively low, which doesn't match with the value of a luxury items, by example.
Yeah.
So the environment of a live streaming is not always luxury friendly. No, there are different aspects of it. So I think the next step will be potentially to see how this live streaming, the technology will help also to bring a better environment. During pandemic time, retails or sales associates become ambassador by using sometimes live streaming to promote products, new arrival in the boutiques directly through live streaming, while people were not able to visit the store. So you see, there are different aspects of it. I'm pretty sure it will play a significant role in this. Obviously, technology will be part of it and will help us to define, in which directions it will be.
Yeah. The last question already for you is the question I ask all my guests. What would be a lesson that you learned throughout your experience that you would like to share with fellow entrepreneurs or aspiring ones, or maybe tips that you wish you had heard before?
Okay, so there is one obvious thought that come to me. It's initially, sometimes we picture entrepreneurs as a single individual. And actually, I happen to be, if I may say humbly, a successful entrepreneur, because actually I did and I've been doing a few successful companies that we started from scratch, and that we we even sold to big groups because I picked the right partners to do it. So all my entrepreneurship experience have been successful because I had the right people next to me. So interestingly, I always been having a lot of ideas of business, but I never converted this because I didn't want to go on my own. And I realized that actually, in the way I do business every day, I need team, I need people, I need to confront my ideas. So same as any entrepreneur, a project, I realized that the key about all of the success is actually choosing the right partners, the right business partners. So it sounds obvious, but
that's difficult to find, right?
Yes.
The right partners.
But obviously, if you have passion, on the project, if you share your passion, usually you will be able to find. The second thing I will say, but it's also coming in the same direction, is that I think it's good to have mentor. I think it's something that not everyone is lucky enough to get naturally a mentor in his life, but among my career in the corporate world, I had an amazing senior mentor that actually created same but different, and then bring him with me. And then he taught me, how to be an entrepreneur, how to be more independent, and how to think differently. Also, he cultivated my initial, thinking. So mentoring is very important. Because of all the opportunities, the amazing senior person I met in my life that was kind enough to share with me and guide me, I'm now doing mentoring for students at the HKU MBA program. Okay. So I've been thinking that, after receiving so many kind and wise advices, it's also my duty and my time to give back. And I realized that actually it's bring me back also to younger thinking mindset. That also, I can confront some ideas again. So it's very interesting.
Nice. Thank you so much, Julien, for sharing.
Thank you, Carmen.
was a pleasure. I think we all learned a lot about KOL and influencer marketing. So we are all influencers. This
Yes.
is what we remember from this episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.